Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, December 19th, 2020. And excuse me, I want to give a rundown for the week on Bitcoin. Excuse me. It was a very, very important week. And I want to share, my analytics to this week, just so that you have an educated approach to how you can approach the Bitcoin market. Now, first of all, I just need to satisfy some things here from a legal perspective. I am not an investment advisor. I am not giving investment advice right now. I am simply sharing my opinions on where I think the price of Bitcoin will be going. Should you decide to act on anything I say, you will need to do your due diligence to determine that the risk that you will be assuming is appropriate for your financial situation. Okay. Now that I got that out of the way, let's get rolling here. Okay. So this was a really important week. Last weekend, and for a week or two before that, Bitcoin was really just kind of waffling around. It was basically trading just below 19,400 and sort of waffling, sometimes popping up and then coming back down. And last weekend, we saw that the volatility really tightened up. And going into Monday, volatility really tightened up, price action really tightened up. And, basically my forecast at the time was we have to get above the 19,500 level and hold it on any kind of tests to make further progress. Well, so what wound up happening was we wound up with a fantastic rally, and it was more or less a $4,400 run. It started on December 16th, and I'm calling this the starting point of that rally was the price was 19,490, and it did a run up intraday high. It had an intraday high. And by the way, that start was on the 16th at 4:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm kind of pegging it to an exact. Here is where the rally started, December 12th, 4:30 a.m. And the price that I'm saying is the starting point was 19,490. We hit an intraday high of 23,613, at least according to my charts. It may vary on other people's charts a little bit. And that intraday high was hit on December 17th at noontime Eastern. So that's that's a very short period of time, just over 24 hours, and in my mind, that's significant. Okay, so what wound up happening after that? So let me just kind of go to the chart here. So over here was where we had the high, and then we came off, and we wound up coming down to around the 22,472. Now during the week, I calculated the Fibonacci numbers, and this point here that I'm pointing at 22,472 came within close enough range to the Fibonacci number I called, which was 22,440, and that decline stopped at that Fibonacci number. And then we started going sideways, okay? And the interesting thing here is as we were going sideways, volatility started to contract. Here when we hit the high, we had a fair amount of volatility happening. We also had a very overbought situation in place. Over here, while we were going sideways, volatility wound up coming in, and the overbought situation wound up resolving itself. Then over here, we had a little bit of a quick drop down, and that was really a secondary test of this Fibonacci number. We had a low of a low of 22,393. But then we rallied off of that. So what that means is this Fibonacci number held again, and that's very positive. And then from that point, and that retest basically happened on 12/18, which was yesterday at around 10:15 a.m. Eastern time. So then we just started, we're basically in a trading range at this point. The top of the trading range, let's see where my notes are. Top of the trading range is 23,228. The low of the trading range is 22,867. So we're in a fairly tight range, relatively speaking. That's more or less $400 of a trading range. So and while we're in that trading range, we are narrowing down on volatility. So going forward, what is it that we need to do here? Well, there's a couple of scenarios here. We're just going to keep, waffling sideways until one of these levels are broken. All right. So what needs to happen if we're going to break to the upside, we have to break through 23,600 and hold that, which is the previous high. We have to get up to, now we could test that and come down, but we have to get above that previous high. And not only get above it, we have to stay above it. We have to do some level of consolidation, and it only may be 3 hours or 2 hours worth of consolidation before it can move higher. So that's one scenario. We break up higher above that 23,600 level. We hold it and we move higher. That's one scenario. Second scenario is we trade up to that 23,600. It holds. It does its secondary test and then starts to come off a little bit and stays within the trading range. The third scenario is we retest. Well, this is actually 4 scenarios. We could retest the first Fibonacci number. At this point, it would be the third test. So if it holds, then at that point you would have a decisive entry point. So if you wanted to buy some more, that would be the place to buy. If we get back down to that Fibonacci number, but it has to hold. So you're not going to do an automatic buy once it hits that level. You want to see it hit the level and then hold, and you'll have an hour probably as a window to pick up more Bitcoin at that point. So that's where we're at. I gave you the scenarios of what you can expect near term. And again, what do you do with this information? Well, there's a strategy that you can do. We are definitely in a bull market, which means you want to be able to increase your holdings on Bitcoin. The important thing is, what is the timing? When do you actually buy that Bitcoin? And now is actually the time to do it during this, while we're in this trading range. I mentioned that if we head down to the lower end of the trading range, that would be an entry point. Now, what I would recommend is, if you have like $500 that you want to put into Bitcoin, not drop the whole $500 all at once. I would do it in 3 lots. So if it gets down to that the bottom end of the trading range, pick up $300 or $250 worth or $200 worth. If it hits the Fibonacci level, maybe pick up another $200 worth. If it should break below that Fibonacci, when it gets to the next Fibonacci, you buy, the balance. And that would be a way of doing some entry. Now, what if it decides it wants to go up. The entry strategy would be, if it starts to go up, I would hold off until there's a decisive break of that 23,600 and wait for the consolidation, because you don't want to buy it if it's at 23,600 and then comes off, because you just bought the high, and you're going to have to live through a little bit of a reaction downwards. So if you don't buy in, at the lows of the trading range, you will have to wait until we decisively break 23,600 and hold it. And during that consolidation period, above 23,600, that's where you would buy it. But at that point, you would buy all of it. So if you have $500, you would just sink the whole $500 in. Right now, as we speak, we do have a little bit of a rally starting to form. We kind of went up from the time that we were talking about $400. Which is interesting. We're still in a trading range. At this point, this is not saying we're about to take off, but we are moving back up to the top of the trend.